to the Solution Convos today. My name is Ngonzi, the Solution, and it's always a blessing to come to you with those insights that are life-giving, that are light-bringing, and that are mind-changing, to bring you to a place of growth in all things and on all sides. And like I said, it's always a blessing. And today is the 22nd of August 2021. And there's a lot that is going on, and we have been going through a series on mastering failure, and this is the third episode in that series. And I want to pick up from where I stopped in the last episode. In the last episode, we talked about failure not being final, And in this particular episode, I want to talk about forgetting the past. And in this episode, I want to talk about forgetting the past and pressing on into the future. Because, like I've shared many times, that I've been through what you'd call a major setback in life. And in that season, while assessing myself, I found that I was judging myself very severely because of what I felt I had failed at, and at feeling like what I had always hoped to achieve by a certain age. By the time I was 30, I should have done this, I should have done that, and by the time I was this age, I should have done this and I should have done that. And this goes for everyone, because every year we make what we call New Year's resolutions. Every time we come to a birthday, it's a milestone, and we set goals for ourselves. But many times we don't achieve those goals, or we achieve them and life happens and we lose it. For example, you, like many people, set a goal to start a business. You, like many people, set a goal to start a family, and you, like many people, have lost either, if not all. So this is life. You wanted a job and you lose a job. What happens when you lose what you felt you had won? What do you do when you are faced with what you call defeat? And this is what I've been coming to tell you in the past episodes, that failure is not final. Failure is simply an opportunity for us to start over wiser, And in this particular episode, I want to talk to you who has failed at whatever. And right now, like I mentioned earlier, we're in that season where students are receiving their results. Just recently in Uganda, the Senior 6 Leavers exams came out, and there are many people who feel like they have failed because they did not achieve the mark that they wanted to achieve. And this is going to, for some reason or the other, it's going to mess up many people. At this particular stage, many students are going to go about life feeling like they failed. And that's why I think that this is very important that I put out this video, because I want to say that failure is not final. What you call a failure today is simply an opportunity for you to learn new things, for you to learn a new way, and for you to do things better and more intelligently. Yeah? But today's particular tangent comes to talk to that person who the things that you have failed at and the things that you call loss, for some reason, hold you in some form of mental prison. Why you continuously rehearse and remember within your mind the things that you have failed at. And I want to come to you specifically to tell you that, that does not help anybody, neither does it help you. And that is why I want you to take this moment to realize that what you hoped for and is not going to happen, there is no point for you to continue feeling and thinking about it, because you know what? It's not going to happen. That job that you lost, you're not going to get it again. That marriage that you lost it. Even for some people who have lost dear ones and they continue to live in that space of depression and discouragement because of that loss, this one comes to you. Because there is a time for mourning, and then there is a time for moving on. It is important for you to learn to move on from your failure. It's not where you fall that matters. It is where you go after you have fallen. And I want to hope that you can move forward. In this particular episode, I'm talking about pressing on. Pressing on. Moving forward, moving on, pressing on. I want to speak to you specifically who is mourning something. That the days of mourning are over. That the days of laying low and just feeling sorry for yourself are over. It is time to press on. It's time to move on. It's time to move forward. Because the more you linger in self-pity, the more you wither and the more time you lose. So I want you to be encouraged in this moment to pick your mat up, to pick up your mattress and roll it up and get moving. Press on from your failure. You're not the only one who has failed. You're not the first one to lose. But you know what? You could be the only one to lose if you give up right now. So there is no point in you mourning over your loss. It is time to move on. And so today I want to come to you in this specific tangent to say, you know what? Forget the past. Because God says, behold, I'm doing a new thing. In the Bible tells us in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 18, that behold, I'm doing a new thing. Forget the past. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? And let me just try and exegete this particular verse. It says, and before he comes to this, he says, do you remember when I brought you out of Egypt? You know, with grandeur. I split the oceans for you. I drowned the Pharaoh. I brought water out of rocks. And God goes on and reminds the children of Israel that I did those great things. But then he comes and says, but forget the past. Behold, I am doing a new thing. And it's interesting that many times God is doing a new thing, but we do not perceive it because we are so held up in our current feeling of failure and stagnation and defeat. But I want you to put on a perceptive mind and a perceptive spirit to look out for what God is doing, because I dare you to believe that God is doing something in silence. That what you might call failure, what you might call a loss, is simply God re-engineering you, recalibrating you, redirecting you to a more positive and a more productive path down the lane. So I do not want you to get so caught up and hung up in the past, because this is a source of depression. I have suffered depression like many people. And I came to a realization that what causes depression is when we spend so much time thinking about what was and thinking about what could have been, that we never are present in what is. I'll say that again. That what causes depression most times is when we are so caught up in what was, what could have been, that we are not cognizant and present in what is. That in this moment that you are alive, why are you spending your mind and your energy thinking about what was, thinking about what yesterday could have been, that has passed? Behold, God is doing a new thing. And this is why many times we do not perceive it, because we are so hung up on the past. So I want to encourage you to begin to perceive that God is doing something even here, right now, where you are. That in what you might call a mess, God is turning that into a message. In that what you might call a failure, God is turning it into a learning opportunity. So perceive what God is doing. He says, forget the past and press on into the future. And you know, speaking of forgetting, in my studies that time when I was going through depression, I came to a realization again that when we do not carefully decide what to forget and what to remember, it causes confusion within our minds in what to expect. Are we together? That sometimes we are so caught up in remembering what we should forget that we never have the opportunity to consider what we should expect. So when you are so caught up in the past and what has failed, you become fearful. You operate from a place and from a mind of anxiety and a place of fear, because you feel like that is the experience even in the future. But you know, this is about you stepping out and stepping forward and saying, you know what, no, there is always opportunity even beyond failure. So do not get hung up on your past. Do not get hung up on failure. So while I was studying at that time, encouraging myself, I found this verse, and I found it very, very telling. Yeah? It's in Isaiah chapter 51. I'll read from verse 7. Listen to me, you who know right from wrong, you who cherish my law in your hearts. Do not be afraid of people's scorn, nor fear their insults. God encourages us very clearly to not be afraid of people's insults. And one of the things that really does hold people back is what people say, people's opinions, people's comments, hollering and heckling. You know, and in a time like now where anyone can say anything from the comfort of their bed, People will rattle you from a comment that they will put on the content that you've put out. And these things discourage many people. And I want to come to you to say, you know what? Do not be discouraged. Do not be shaken. Do not be depressed because of people's words. They are just that. They're words. They only have effect when you believe in them. And I think the words that you need to be believing is the word of God and the words that you have to say to yourself. So do not be afraid of people's insults. If you have fallen, get up no matter how many times and press on. Yeah? So I'll continue. It says that, for the moth will devour them as it devours clothing. The worm will eat them as it eats wool. But my righteousness will last forever. My salvation will continue generation from generation. And this is a word of encouragement. That the people who scold, the people who discourage us, the people who scorn us, the people who depress, who try to dump on us, these people will pass away, but God's word and His purpose in our lives will stand. He says that my salvation will last forever and my righteousness is eternal. So it does not matter if people are putting you down and saying things about you because you are of what they think you have failed at. God is saying that I know you. God is saying that I've called you. God is saying that I've chosen you. And no matter how many times you fall, God says, I will lift you up. And I want to continue in this particular verse because it says, wake up, O Lord, clothe yourself with strength. Flex your mighty right arm. Rouse yourself as in the days of old when you slew Egypt, the dragon of the Nile. Sometimes you have to come to a place where you remind God of the things that He has done in your life. And this is what I'm coming to say. That if you're going to look into the past from a perspective of thanks. From a perspective of gratitude, of saying that, God, thank you for taking me through that situation. God, thank you for helping me survive that situation. Thank you for helping me go through that. Because where you are right now, you have survived so much more than you even know. So if you are going to look back with gratitude, look back with thanksgiving, and remind God and say, God, if you did that before, you will do it again. And verse 10, it says, are you not the same today? The one who dried up the sea, making a path of escape through the depths, so that people could cross over. Those who have been transformed, the Lord will return. And I love this. It says, are you not the God who did that? Are you not the same today? So God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So forget the past. If you want to look into the past with gratitude and remember that the same God who did that yesterday is able and ready to do it today. Yeah? And let me skip to verse 12. It says, yes, I am the one who comforts you. So wherever you are, I want you to know it is God who comforts you. Wherever you are, you feeling that you have failed at this, I want to speak a word of comfort. To say, you know what? It is not over until God says it's over. There is hope in your future. So do not be discouraged. I want to send out a specific word to someone who is feeling down and depressed and discouraged, feeling like you are worn out, feeling like it is the end. No, it is not the end. For as long as you're breathing, for as long as the sun is coming up, there is hope in your future. So he says that, yes, I am the one who comforts you. So why are you afraid of humans who wither like grass and disappear? God is saying, I'm the one who comforts you. Why are you afraid of human beings? Some of you have been paralyzed by people's comments. Some of you have been paralyzed by what people think about you. Some of you have been paralyzed by a word that was said to you, and it has really held you in a cage. I want to speak to you and say, you know what, that was just a word. And I'm sending you a word to say, come out. You have it in you. There's greatness in you. Let your light shine. Let your brilliance show. You owe it to God and you owe it to yourself to pick yourself up and press on. So he goes on to say, why have you forgotten the Lord your Creator? You see, when we forget what God has done in our lives, we become fearful. And this is what God is saying. When you forget me, you become fearful. Why are you afraid of humans who wither? Yet you have forgotten me, the Lord your Creator, the one who stretched out the sky like a canopy and laid the foundations of the earth. Will you remain in constant dread of human oppressors? Will you continue to fear anger of your enemies? Where is their fury and anger now? It is gone. Soon your captives will be released. Imprisonment, starvation, and death will not be your fate. And I want to speak on that. God is saying, when you forget me, you become fearful. But why are you fearful? Have you forgotten that I am the one who is able, who stretch out the earth? And you will not die in prison. You will not lack. You will not die of famine. That's what God has promised. So I want to encourage you today to press on. I want to encourage you to move beyond the failure. Do not be caught up in it. And I want you to understand that this is not that. Even as you approach your new attempts, even as you move forward, I want you to forget what is past and understand that this, where you are today, is not that. There is an opportunity for you to look at things in a new way. Yeah? So a bounce back, I've always said, is possible for those who expect it. So expect more of yourself. Expect a bounce back. It is in you. Press on. And I want to bring this to a close by contemplating this verse in Philippians chapter 3. And I find it very, very, very pertinent to this season. This is a man, Paul, who has done so much and is writing to the church of Philippi. And he's encouraging them, and he says something very interesting. I'll read from chapter 3, verse 12. He says, I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things, or that I have already reached perfection. I like that word, perfection. But this is a man who has done so much. He has accomplished so much in his life. But he says, I do not consider myself to have achieved everything. I do not consider myself to have achieved perfection. It seems like there is a certain place he believes that he should be. Like every one of us, there is a certain picture we have in our minds of what perfection is. And so when we have not yet achieved that, when we fail to achieve it, many times we feel like we failed. But here is a man who really has accolades to himself. He has accolades to his name. But he's saying, I do not consider myself to have achieved perfection, but I press on to possess the perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. I love that. He says, I don't consider myself to have achieved, but this is what I do. I press on. And that is the attitude that I'm coming to share with you today. That attitude of pressing on. No matter where you have failed, no matter what you have achieved, no matter where you are in life, there is a place called perfection. And you know what? I do not know if any of us ever achieves it. But what we learn from Paul is saying that I perceive and I press on to that place. Because what is that place? That place of perfection for him is where Jesus first possessed him. And this is very important because many times we are pursuing a purposeless life. We are trying to achieve certain goals, certain things in life, and we think that this is what life is all about. But many times, many people come to the end of their lives and they feel like they have lived a very empty and useless life. And ask many people that if you had 1 year to live, what would you give yourself for? And that is what Paul said, that I forget everything and I press on to that mark for which God called me and possessed me. So before you seek possession, understand that you have been possessed, and that is a place of perfection. That what in that possession is where our purpose lies. That there is a reason why God created you. There is a reason why God made me the way that I am. There is a reason why God has blessed me and you to be where we are. That is very important for us to understand that reason, because when we get to that reason, we get into a place of purpose, and purpose leads us onto a journey of process, a purpose that leads us into a place where we eventually take possession. But that possession happens day by day beyond the failure. And that is why it's important for you and I to learn the importance of pressing on, of going forward, of forgetting the loss and carrying the lesson, of singing a new song. And I keep encouraging people, sing a new song, change your story, change your narrative. If the way that you've been talking about yourself is in such a way that you always put your failures as part of your story and the things that limit you, I want you to change your story and say that I suffered this, but this is what I've learned, and I achieved this, but I do not believe that it is the end, and this is what I do. I press on. He says, I've not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. What does he forget? What does he focus on? He says, I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. This one thing I do, I forget the past and I focus. For as long as you are remembering the past, you can't focus on the future. And this is a source of depression. Because depression puts you in a place where tomorrow is useless to you. Because you're so caught up in yesterday. And therefore you do nothing today. This is the fear that paralyzes. This is the fear that holds you back. This is the fear that makes you feel like it is impossible for you to step out and see the brilliance of the light. But I'm coming to tell you that the dimmest light shines brightest in the darkest night. So it does not matter where you are feeling like it is over. This is the light that you need to bring you out. I do not know who needs to hear this, but I'm coming to tell you today. And you do not know how much I have been resisted to share this. But I refuse to hold back. I press this button and I press on. And I'm encouraging you to press that button, to press on, to press on, to press on. Press on beyond the failure. Press on beyond the loss. Press on beyond the defeat. Press on beyond that pain. Press on beyond those tears. Press on. Press on in life. Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. Press on. Try again. Because failure is not final. And it says, I focus on the future. I focus on what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God through Christ in Jesus is calling us. That there is a prize to the life that we live on earth. And if we allow ourselves to be discouraged in the race that we are running because we have fallen once or twice, then we will not achieve that prize. And we are right now in that season where we are just coming out of the Olympics. And really the Olympics is a place to learn resilience, to learn the power of pressing on, to learn the power of not giving up. Because the people that we admire, the people that we celebrate in the Olympics, really when you look at their stories, they are stories of people who failed, people who landed on their face, people who were injured, people who were defeated, but people who refused to give up, people who kept pressing on, people who eventually broke world records coming from childbirth, people who broke world records coming from injuries, people who have incredible stories. Cheptegei is one of them. Kiplimo is one of them. People who understand the importance of pressing on. And if you are listening to me, I believe that there is a champion in you, and the champion does not quit. The champion does not give up. Instead, the champion presses on. So press on, because there is a prize at the end of your life. And the Bible continues to say in verse 15, let all who are spiritually mature agree on these things. If you disagree on some point, I believe God will make it plain to you. But we must hold on to the progress we have already made. And that's where I want to end. That you see, it is important for us to celebrate the progress that we are making. Because for as long as we are measuring ourselves against what we have not achieved, it becomes difficult for us to appreciate where we are and where we are, what we've done so far. I like what Joyce Meyer says, that I am not where I want to be, but thank God I am not where I used to be, and I give praise for that. So it's important for you to understand that if you are to master failure, if failure is to really be transformed in your mind to just be a learning lesson, and a learning point and an opportunity for you to start over afresh, then it is important for you to have a proper perspective of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Because this has a way in which it affects our minds, the way that we approach failure, that what you have done in the past is in the past. Allow it to stay in the past. And if you're to carry anything from the past, carry the good that God has done. If you're to remember anything about yesterday, remember what good God has done. It will encourage you when you're thinking about tomorrow, because you know that he who started a good work in you yesterday is able to do it today and even to tomorrow, because God is the same. He's still good. And for as long as God is still good, he has the ability to turn your defeat into victory. Yes? So please be encouraged. Do not give up. Press on. Sing a new song. Do a new thing. Dream a new dream. And expect more of yourself. And even as I bring this to a close, I want to end this in a special way by singing you a little song. Again, really to try and get this message to land for you. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Ima olimoloja imea Yesu. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. Siima ebyakora Yesu musinze. Siima ebyakora Yesu musinze. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Open your mouth. Let your voice arise. Let the oils of that gladness dry up your eyes. From the ashes and dams, I see you arise. So let the joy that's in you break out into songs that are new. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. Siima ebyakora Yesu musinze. Siima ebyakora Yesu musinze. Let the melodies in you sing a new song. Let the pen that's in you write a new song. Let the oils of gladness make you so strong as you sing a new song to the Lord who makes you strong. Oh, sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. Siima ebyakora Yesu musinze. Siima ebyakora Yesu musinze. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Sing a new song to the Lord. Sing a new song. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. Ima olimoloja Yesu muhimbire. So press on. Change your song. And it's always a blessing to come to you. My name is Ngonzi, the solution. And I do this compelled by love for God.